My name is Addison Bhuyan. I'm a filmmaker.
Excellent.
Well, I write, direct, and act really out of a personal necessity. I mean, I went to film school so I could make movies and be a writer-director, but I caught the acting bug. I actually caught the acting bug when I was young. I just didn't realize. I just never thought I'd be an actor. But when I was in film school, a lot of times us fellow filmmakers had to help each other out with their projects. So a lot of times I would be acting anyway in somebody else's project. And it just made sense to take one of the roles in my own. And so that just continued when I came out of film school. And I'm a card-carrying actor. I'm in a union. I pay my dues. I'm a SAG actor. So if somebody else isn't giving me the job because I'm an aspiring actor, then I've got to give myself the job. But so that came out of necessity and wanting to do it, just loving acting and various parts of filmmaking in general. Being a writer-director, I come up with the idea and I got to write it, and then I direct it. I mean, it's just really natural. It's not that it's not choices I'm actively making, really. It's just how it's happening. And that's how it came about me doing this triathlon, as you call it, writing, directing, and acting. It's not something I chose. It's just, I got an idea, I got to write it. I've got a film I want to make, so I'm obviously directing it, and I've got a role in it, too. That's all. Especially at this level, where you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're making these short films and hoping they get into film festivals and doing a film festival circuit, you got to wear many hats. And as far as writing and directing on set, it is you're really putting on one hat as the actor when you're in front of the camera, and then when you call cut or when you gotta before you do another take and you have to make adjustments, you really do have to take off that actor's hat and put on that director's hat. And then when you're ready to go back in front of the camera, you got to remember to switch hats again. It really is like that. It's really like using two different sides of your brain or something, even though directing and acting would both be creative. But, the first time I did it, like if you watch my very first short film, you could probably tell, well, he's a mediocre actor and a mediocre director. But, now that I'm on my, fourth or fifth short film at this point, I have gotten better at it, but that's practice makes perfect, just doing it every time. But what helps is, as a writer-director, is, you go through several drafts of the script. So I know the characters pretty well. Of course, I know the dialogue, I know the scenes, and I don't only know my parts, but I know my fellow actors' parts also. So I've lived with the piece a lot longer than everybody else on set, which makes it easier on set to go back and forth between acting and directing. I don't think it's ideal, but like I said, practice makes perfect, and Woody Allen seems to do it pretty well, and some other actor-directors seem to do it. Ben Affleck seems to be pretty good at it, apparently. You have to do a lot of work. Like I said, in writing the script, knowing I'm going to direct it, I write it as a director. I mean, as I'm writing the scenes, I'm really watching the scene in my head. I know where the camera's at, because I can see what I'm seeing. So naturally, I know where the camera is, or about where the camera's going to be when I get to the set. So really, when I've done with a scene, I'm watching that particular scene in my head already. So when I get to set, I can already see the scene and where the camera would go when it's time to do the shot list before you get to set, of course, in pre-production. All of that I've been living with in the writing process for so long that when the script is finally done, it's the last draft and it's handed out to the actors and the assistant director and everybody else, all the other filmmakers, I've already made the movie in my head several times, and I've already made a lot of the adjustments in my head through the rewrite of the script and the reworking of scenes and doing a basic storyboard. I don't always do a storyboard, but since I've got the film in my head and worked on it so much through the writing process, I can see the storyboard in my head anyway, and I get with the assistant director hopefully a week before at least, because it's just a short film, and we map out the scene and we're pretty much on the same page. So most of the work is already done before I get to the set. So a lot of work goes into it, but having written it myself, as opposed to getting it from a third-party writer and then figuring out how I'm going to shoot it, I already know how I'm going to shoot it. So the biggest part now is paying attention to the acting while I'm directing. With the shot list, which I usually go over with the assistant director, It's interesting you asked me that because the last cinematographer I worked with, and I think the director and cinematographer should be like this. They should be buddy-buddy on set. But the last cinematographer I worked with, actually, he didn't really want storyboards or shot list ahead of time, really. It almost like he wanted to sort of like ad-lib on the set. And this is just the way he worked. He wanted to know the basic layout of the scene and how it went. And of course, we discussed what's happening in the scene. And then he wanted to give me on ideas on where he felt the camera would be and what shots would be good for this scene to deliver what I wanted in the scene, which I thought was an interesting way to work. And to tell you the truth, it took a lot of weight off my shoulders as director, because we would discuss the scenes and the shots, and he would immediately say, you know what, I think we should put the camera here, this lighting would be good, and what do you think about this? And I think he just really took his job as a cinematographer really seriously as his art. And he didn't want a whole bunch of shot ideas from me, because he felt personally that was his job to bring to me. So I thought that was really cool, actually. But sometimes you work with people and they really want to know, okay, what's the shot list? Okay, what's the next setup? Okay, where do you want the camera this time? You have enough? Are we moving on? And I've worked with cinematographers like that too. But like I said, being that I've written a movie too, I've done a lot of the directing in my head before I get there. So I already see the scene in my head. So I bring the shot list, and if we have storyboard, and I discuss that with the director, we do a tech scout, and we usually, hopefully, do some rehearsals. Though, believe it or not, that's not also always practical. When you're working with people's schedules, sometimes you can't even get a rehearsal. But hopefully you get a rehearsal and a tech scout, and you get to block the shots ahead of time, and you're on the same page when you get to set.